So, have you ever really stopped to think about what it means to live a good life? I mean, not just getting by, but to actually thrive? Today, we're diving into the science of human flourishing. And we're going to see that thriving isn't just some vague, fuzzy feeling. No, it's an actual concept with a clear architecture, something that can be built, measured, and used to transform not just our own lives, but our entire society. All right, let's get into it. But first, to really get why a new approach is so important, we have to start with a problem. A really big, really persistent problem that, well, our usual ways of thinking just haven't been able to fix. Let's just put it out there plain and simple. For all of our modern progress, this stubborn gap just won't go away. In some of the wealthiest countries on Earth, your socioeconomic status can be a huge predictor of your health and even how long you'll live. It's a basic inequality that affects millions, and it's proof that just having a strong economy doesn't automatically mean a good life for everyone. Now, what's so powerful about this is that it's basically an admission of failure. For decades, policymakers and organizations have thrown tons of money and programs at this issue, and yet, that gap hasn't closed. It really makes you wonder, right? Maybe it's not just that we're using the wrong tools. Maybe we've been asking the wrong question all along. And that leads us to this. A massive pivot, a real shift in perspective that changes the entire game. It's all about reframing the whole problem from the ground up. I mean, think about it. The traditional model, both in psychology and in a lot of social policy, has been all about deficits. The main focus has been on what's wrong, diagnosing illnesses, fixing problems, treating distress. And look, that's incredibly important work. We absolutely need to fix what's broken. But that's only half the story of what it means to be human. And this right here, this sums up the whole paradigm shift. The field of positive psychology asks us to move from that old question, how do we fix what's broken, to a new, much more powerful one. How do we build what is strong? It's a total flip. Instead of just patching up the damage after it's done, we start designing for success right from the very beginning. Okay, so if we're going to build what is strong, we're going to need a blueprint, right? Well, lucky for us, science has given us one. This is the actual architecture that supports a thriving life. The end goal of this new approach is a state called flourishing. And let's be super clear, this isn't just about feeling okay or, not being sick. It's an active, vibrant state of well-being. It's the presence of positive things that make life feel truly worth living. So what are these building blocks? What does the science say they are? Well, we build it using one of the most powerful frameworks out there called the PERMA model. You can think of PERMA as the 5 essential pillars that hold up the entire structure of a flourishing life. And the best part is, each one is a distinct element that you can actually work on and cultivate. The first pillar is P, for positive emotions. And this is about way more than just a fleeting moment of happiness. It's about intentionally making room for feelings like joy, gratitude, and hope. Just think about the last time you felt truly grateful for something. Research shows that emotion doesn't just feel good, it literally opens up your mind and makes you more creative and resilient. Next up is E, for engagement. Have you ever been so lost in something you were doing, maybe playing music or a sport, or even just working on a project you love, that time just seemed to disappear? That's a state called flow. Engagement is all about finding those activities where your skills meet a challenge and you just become completely immersed. Then we've got R, for relationships. Look, we are hardwired for connection. It's just how we're built. And this isn't just about having a lot of friends. It's about the quality of those connections, feeling truly seen, supported, and valued by others. In fact, study after study shows that strong social bonds are one of the single biggest predictors of our long-term health and happiness. M stands for meaning. This is that deep human need to connect to something bigger than just us. It could be through your community, your family, a cause you care about, or your work. But whatever it is, meaning gives us that vital sense of purpose that points us in the right direction. And finally, A is for accomplishment. This is about that inner drive we all have to just get better at stuff. It could be learning a new skill, or getting better at a hobby, or reaching a goal at work. That process of striving and achieving, it builds our confidence and a real healthy sense of pride, totally separate from any reward or paycheck. So PERMA gives us the architecture, the blueprint. But what about the psychological muscles we need to actually build it, especially when things get tough? Well, that's where we unleash our inner hero. This brings us to a really cool concept called psychological capital, or PSYCAP for short. Now, the most important word on this slide is state-like. That means these psychological resources are not fixed personality traits that you're just born with. They are skills. And that's huge because it means they can be learned, practiced, and developed by anyone. So what are these trainable psychological strengths? Well, they're captured in a really easy-to-remember acronym. You've got to meet the hero within. H is for hope. Now, this isn't just wishful thinking. It's having both the willpower to get going and the way power to see different paths to your goals. E is for efficacy. That's your self-belief, that deep-down confidence that you can handle tough challenges. R is for resilience, your ability to not just survive setbacks, but to bounce back and maybe even come out stronger. And finally, O is for optimism, which is a realistic, grounded belief that good things are possible in your future. These four things together, they're like the engine for personal growth. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but it's very individualistic. But this is exactly where the whole model scales up, connecting our personal well-being directly to the health of the entire community. This quote just nails the connection perfectly. When we start pursuing meaning, that's the M in our PERMA model, it almost always leads us outside of ourselves. The search for our own purpose very often finds its answer in being of service to other people. So here's the key takeaway. Building a flourishing life is not a selfish act. In fact, it's the opposite. It creates this amazing positive feedback loop. When we thrive as individuals, we're more likely to give back to our communities. And when we give back, that enhances our own sense of meaning and connection, which fuels our well-being even more. It's simple, really. A society of flourishing individuals creates a flourishing society. And this idea is so powerful that it's not just a psychological theory anymore. It's actually starting to reshape public policy and how entire governments think about success. Just look at this trend. For so long, we've pretty much used economic numbers like GDP as the main scorecard for a country's success. But that's starting to change. Big global institutions and even entire countries are now creating frameworks to measure and prioritize the well-being of their citizens. They're realizing that a thriving population isn't just a nice-to-have. It's the ultimate national asset. It is the foundation of a strong, productive, and sustainable future. And all of this brings us to one final huge question. And this isn't just some abstract thought experiment. It's the real challenge that the science of thriving puts in front of all of us. If we shifted our ultimate goal, as individuals, as communities, and as nations, from just surviving to actively flourishing, what would we do differently tomorrow? Seriously, think about it. In your own life, in your work, in your community, what would you change first?